right. I don't have my headset right now, so I apologize for the if it doesn't sound loud. I'm actually trying to protect my my voice while I'm driving. All right, so I have a driving thought because somebody decided to say something to me, and I thought I would share with you my thoughts on this. So they got Sydney Autodong. I apologize if I'm saying her name wrong. The one that's going to be playing the live action Nani. Now, a bunch of people are having a issue with her casting, saying that it's a form of whitewashing or something, similar to whenever they cast a light-skinned black person for anything, they always complain that there needs to be a darker skinned person. By the way, I don't disagree that we come in multiple shades, so we should have multiple shades. So just to be clear, like Danny that played Michonne from Walking Dead, love her acting. Lupita, love her acting. Beautiful women, dark skin, beautiful. But I also think Zendaya is beautiful. But people pull this, or they've been pulling this stuff lately with all this race stuff, saying like, well, Zendaya's not black because she's half white. Like, most people, if you actually go through their DNA, they're mixed. It's just some are more prevalent than others. But I digress. So as I'm talking to this person, I'm trying to get them to understand, because there are people like, now you're angry, but when it was Little Mermaid, you were telling us we need to accept it and to be cool. And now people are doing this thing where they go, well, Little Mermaid and Tinkerbell are fictional mythological characters, so their race doesn't matter. Yes, if you go off the source material. Disney didn't go off the source material when they made the images. Little Mermaid being green skinned, Tinkerbell, if I remember correctly, could, whatever emotion she felt, that was the color she was, which would have been really cool to see on screen, actually. But that's not what we got. What we got was Tinkerbell being, and you're probably thinking of her right now, blonde-haired, white. They added a race to her. Ariel, white, redhead. Because Disney's remaking, this is why they're calling them Disney live-action remakes. They're remaking their version. So by their version, it's their source material. And the source material does not compute as black. But as I'm talking to a person, and I've had, like I told you, conversations with my niece and everyone, and some people, I'm like, oh, okay, at least she's, Hawaiian, in her nationality and in her ancestry. She's also, I think, British and Filipina, but she's also Hawaiian. So she's mixed race. And I had this person, and I said, cool, good start. And I had this person and keep coming at me, just, no, that's not, it's wrong, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, talking to her like, well, and then she did the whole voice actors should be their own race and stuff, because white people taking voice acting is wrong from black people playing other characters. So I bring up, okay, what about all the black voice actors that have played white characters? And Japanese characters and Chinese characters and stuff. So she then sits there and she goes, well, no, because I named a few. I named Phil Lamar, James Avery, and Cree Summer. And she goes, no, they only ever played, she's like, do some research. They only ever played black people. So after I, had a chuckle and responded saying, you're telling me to do research? Okay. Samurai Jack, the Shredder, and Penny from Inspector Gadget. She then turns around and pulls this thing where she's like, no, the Shredder's light-skinned. First of all, everybody knows the Shredder, even if you're not like a hardcore Ninja Turtle fan, if you've watched a cartoon or anything with Ninja Turtles at all, you clearly can tell, especially with the word ninja, that they're Japanese. Like, come on, son. Come on. Let's stop as you say, let's stop the cap. So after I established that, she then made excuses like, well, for example, Cree Summer is the third voice actor of Penny. I'm like, that doesn't change the fact that you have an issue with the voice actor taking it up. So by your standards, what you're saying is that her being black, she should have never taken that role, right? They should have never taken these roles of Asian characters and stuff because they're taking the roles away from these other people. The reason why I bring that up is my problem is that people they don't keep it even across the board. If you don't want a voice actor to do this, which is stupid because you're being hired by their voice, not because of what they look like or their struggles or anything, it's by the talent of their voice. How they can control their voice, how they can put their voice in range. For example, Seth Rogen has voice acted. He is not a voice actor. And like, if you hear him when he's Donkey Kong or when he's out of Alien, it's his voice. It's his voice. Like, it may have some inflection here or there, but 9 out of 10, it's his voice. There's not much deviation compared to like a Cree Summer or Phil Lamar. Like, they actually changed their voice to the point where you may not be able to tell it's the same all the time. Like, Cree does have a certain voice, but she's played roles where it's been deeper or higher or changed a little, you know what I mean? So now we run into my problem. So I've had people that go, they're mythological creatures. Okay, but you put a race to them, right? Because the live action casting of Tinkerbell and Little Mermaid is black. Well, here's why I don't have an issue with the casting of Nani, even though I think all the toons, when you make live action versions, should look like the characters that they were being portrayed from in the cartoons that Disney is making from their own cartoons. And yes, you can sit there and go, well, it's Disney's choice. But here's why I have the issue. You can't say that and then have a problem when they cast a mixed Hawaiian and say, well, it's Disney's choice until I don't like it. You have to be even across the board, or you're being fake. So here's why I have a problem with Little Mermaid and Tinkerbell being black. And why I'm like, if you can't keep that same energy, then you're being a hypocrite. Okay, yes, the mermaid is a half fish, half human person, evolved that way, whatever. They're in the underwater kingdom. And you have Tinkerbell that is from Neverland. Now, here's the thing. All three of those franchises, because I'm going to use these three, all have similar setups. They have mythological creatures. One's an alien, one's a mermaid, one's a fairy. They have fake world. They have not fake. They have magical settings. The underwater kingdom. Stitch is from another planet that with life on it. We don't know that. I mean, you can believe what you believe, but we have no hardcore evidence of it. So Stitch is like that. And Tinkerbell is from a place that's built off of children's imaginations. Okay. The settings also take place in real world settings. Lilo and Stitch take place in Hawaii. Little Mermaid takes place in France. And Tinkerbell and Peter Pan takes place in England. Here's the problem. Let's go with Little Mermaid first, because that's the longer explanation. Do you think that 1800s France is going to have a mermaid who becomes a human, but is black, looked at as equal, and not only equal, but become their princess? Huh? Think about that. She is a black woman in France in the 1800s. They're just going to be, everyone's just going to be cool with her marrying the prince, not because of royalty factors or voices, simply because like they're cool with black people in the 1800s. That's the problem with Little Mermaid being cast as black, beyond the fact that people associate images with how things look, like images with properties. Don't believe me? Superman. I just said it. The image in your head even if it's an actor, it's probably going to be white guy, blue tights, red S on his chest, red cape. If I say the Hulk, you're going to probably think of Bruce Banner, white guy scientist, muscle bound. Black Panther. And yes, there's been more than one. You're not going to think of Shuri probably. You're probably going to think of T'Challa. Luke Cage. Spider-Man. Maleficent. I bet these images in your head are either from what Disney has established or something you've established before. So, now let's go to 1800s England. Or, I'm sorry, 1920s England. I think it was 1926 that Peter Pan took place. Look at the history of England and how England treated their African refugees. And there was even segregation laws from the 70s throughout. And you're going to tell me that they're going to see a black person, fairy or not, a black person, and they're just going to be, oh, that's cool. The lost children, because not even just Tinkerbell, the lost kids are supposed to be the lost boys, but the new version they decided to put girls in there because, you know, that's weird because the girls are not identifying as boys, they're identifying as girls. So that's weird in itself to me. I would be like, oh, okay, they're identifying as boys. That would have made more sense to me. So you're saying that Wendy and all of them just like, oh, cool, black people. They're just great. Even though we have no black people, we don't really like black people like that. But no, we're all cool. So if Disney can sit there and flat out ignore the prejudices and things of these countries for diversity and say that, well, these are okay, and you're going to sit there and say, well, hey, they're fictional characters. Okay, so is Lilo and Stitch. All those characters are fictional. And if you go with, oh, well, they're mythological, and Lilo and Stitch is based on a real world culture, so is Peter Pan, so is Little Mermaid, even Snow White with the Latina thing. Snow White's based in Germany. There was no Latinos. I think she's Puerto Rican. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. She's a Puerto Rican. I think she's Puerto Rican now. You put her in there. There is no Puerto Ricans running around in Germany being the princess. Or, no Latinas going, no, I'm the princess. I'm Latina. That's not how that works. So if you're going to have an outcry now, when these other stories take place in there, and before you try to say, well, Lilo and Stitch focused on the culture, so did the other ones. Dwarves are a mythological creature that's from that European area. And I'm not talking about real life. I'm talking about like the fantasy area. England talked about fairies and things like that. These European things happened. Mermaids and all them. They're actually in multiple cultures and stuff like that. But their version of the mermaid is specifically Little Mermaid is established with their culture and their stuff. So it is the same. Just because one isn't hyper pronounced doesn't mean it doesn't reflect the culture. Because if you think about it, okay, Black Panther reflects African culture, right? Okay, now take Luke Cage. Let's say they make Luke Cage white. You would have a problem with it. And not just because of they took a white diversity thing. Because there are certain things that fit the culture of Luke Cage. It's not that Luke Cage is always talking about just everything. There's cultural references and things. Because everything Luke Cage does practically can be done with a Caucasian person from that same area that just happens to believe in equality. So, if you have a problem with Nani, but you don't have a problem with Little Mermaid or Snow White or Tinkerbell, then you are a hypocrite and you're faking your own problems. Because if you're going to start sitting there focusing on racism on the one set or on that character and stuff, then you need to focus on what these other countries would have treated black people like. And you can easily look it up. It wasn't friendly. Geek protagonist, you stay safe, you stay healthy, you stay real. Tell me what you think. Because if you tell me I'm wrong, I need you to explain it. See ya.